So, big news from Georgia. And I'm not talking about the Georgia in America with nice peaches and the bad traffic. I'm talking about the other Georgia, the one with the good wine, the mountains, and until very recently, one of the cheapest tickets to residency in the entire world. For years, Georgia has been one of the cool indie movies in the investment migration world. Low cost of entry, incredibly low taxes, and a vibe that says we're open for business, but as every India fan knows, eventually the secret gets out. The crowds arrive, the ticket prices go up. And starting March 1st of this year, 2026, the cost of Georgia's property-based investor visa is officially getting a 50% price hike. So today I'm going to break down what's changing, why the government is doing it, and whether Georgia is still a must-buy or if the ship has officially sailed. So let's look at the numbers. Since 2019, you could buy a short-term residential permit in Georgia for $100,000. That's basically the price of a parking spot in London or a very small shed in San Francisco. But effective of March 1st this year, that entry bar for a property purchase is going up to $150,000. So let me repeat, the price of $100,000 to get residency in Georgia has now gone up, will go up to $150,000. Okay, but, and this is what a lot of people don't realize, Georgia's doing what they call a basket strategy. So you don't actually have to buy one property at $150,000. You could buy two. You could buy an apartment for $75,000 and then a second apartment for $75,000. Or you could buy a $100,000 apartment or house and then spend $50,000 on a shop. As long as the total value hits the $150,000 mark, you're in. You get your residency. But also, Georgia is trying to make it as fair as possible. They don't actually care what you paid for the house. They care what it's valued or credited at. So if your appraiser says it's worth $150,000, that's okay. So here's an example. You buy a fixer-upper for $120,000, and then you spend $30,000 making it like nice, making it perfect Airbnb, beautiful home to live in. Then as long as you can get that appraised and valued at $150,000, you're good. The government is fine. They're like, yeah, that ticks the boxes. Welcome to Georgia. But why the change? Why has Georgia suddenly put the prices up? Well, the Georgian government noticed they had a bit of a shadow economy problem. And in early 2024, they counted nearly 250,000 foreigners entering the country, but only a few actually registered as workers. And the government soon realized people were living there, but off the grid. So they've tightened the screws to make sure that everybody is accounted for. But let's look at the other options. So if you think 150,000 may not be such a good deal anymore, let's look at the neighborhood. Because you've got some golden visa countries nearby, but their prices are skyrocketing. Greece recently hiked their program to $800,000 for property investment. Portugal has ended the buy a house, get a passport, and simply removed real estate as an option. And if you compare Georgia to Turkey, where the citizenship by investment threshold is $400,000, or the UAE, where a 10-year golden visa requirement is a $2 million investment, that's about $540,000. Well, even at $150,000, Georgia doesn't look too bad. It is a budget-friendly, luxury option. It's like the difference between buying a designer handbag at full price or finding the exact same one at an outlet for half the price. Same leather, same design, same bag, just a better price. And also, Georgia's investor visa has a big brother, the property permit. This is $300,000. And this gets you a 5-year permit. So if you spend more than $150,000, you say, no, I've got some disposable money here, I'm going to put in $300,000. Then you get a 5-year permit immediately. And that will put you on the fast track to permanent residency and then possibly citizenship. And you could do that in 5 years rather than 10. And that's a big perk. You then also have a hidden perk, but one people don't always talk about, and that's the tax. And actually, the tax is probably the real reason a lot of people migrate to Georgia. So Georgia has what's called a territorial tax. It's a territorial tax country. So in simple terms, if you are a tax resident and you earn money outside of Georgia, it is often, depending on your company structure, completely tax exempt. And if you're a freelancer or a small business owner, Georgia has what's called a small business status, where if you earn under 185,000 US dollars a year, you pay just 1% in taxes. I'll repeat that. If you earn under 185,000 US dollars a year in Georgia, you pay just 1% in taxes. And reality is, most people probably pay more than that in credit card processing fees. So when you combine a $150,000 property investment, which, let's be honest, will most likely appreciate because Georgia is booming, it's becoming very popular, and then you include a 1% tax rate, the hike from 100,000 to 150,000 doesn't look too bad at all. And you'll likely save the extra 50,000 in tax savings within the first couple of years of living there. But we do have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that's the EU factor. There is a risk here. There is some tension between Georgia and the EU right now. And Brussels has been giving Georgia a bit of a side eye over some of their recent policy shifts. And there's also serious talk about Georgia potentially losing its visa-free access to the Schengen area. So if you're investing in Georgia purely as a backdoor to Europe, you need to be a bit careful. Georgia may not be for you. But if you're investing because you want a high growth, emerging market with a very reasonable 1% tax rate and a beautiful, stunning lifestyle and scenery, then maybe the EU drama doesn't concern you so much. So the conclusion is it still worth it? Well, this is a personal decision. What works for somebody may not work for somebody else. But the bottom line is the $100,000 investment, which thousands and thousands of people have enjoyed over the last few years, is ending. It's going up by 50%. It's now $150,000. And that is the price of investment moving forward after the 1st of March this year. So if you value tax efficiency, a low cost of living, owning a physical property in one of the most beautiful regions on earth, then the answer is an outstanding yes. If you compare it to the rest of Europe, then it's definitely a bargain. However, time is coming up. Soon the 1st of March will be here. So if you want to beat the hike, then you really only have a few weeks to get your property valuation and application in whilst you still can. If you'd like further information, then please reach out to me in the comments and I'll gladly send you some more information.